Ramadan is here, the month that is blessed. Ramadan is here, the month we love best. The month in which the Quran was sent, a time of great blessing in which to repent. Fasting for Allah is a great Muslim deed, controlling desire and suppressing greed. Ramadan is here, increase your Iman. Ramadan Fatawa.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ramadan Fatawa. I'm your host, Jamil Rashid, and I'm happy to say I have with me today Sheikh Muhammad Salah. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, let's remind you of our telephone numbers. And before I do remind you, please, just two notes. If you're going to call, please do call in early. And second, if you do call, please turn down your television sets. The number is country code 202, then it's 3, then it's 8555. 248 or 249. Our email address is askask@huda.tv. Sheikh had a question from Brother Shakil from the United Arab Emirates. He's asking about doing the tasbih on your hands. Now he says, are we allowed to count these also on our left hand as well as our right hand?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. Praise be to Allah, we praise Him and we seek His help. Whomsoever Allah guides is a truly guided one, and whomsoever Allah leaves astray, no one can show him guidance. May the best peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam advised a group of women once by saying, "Aqidna bil anamili fa innahunna mustantaqat," meaning count on your fingers while doing tasbih, because they will be asked and they will be made to speak. Your fingers and finger joints will be able to speak. So they will speak that you used to count the name of Allah and His beautiful names and attributes on your finger joints. So that's a plus for you. So it's recommended for one to count on his finger joints while making tasbih. It was narrated also that Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, may Allah be pleased with him, have seen the Prophet ﷺ making tasbih on his right hand, on the fingers of his right hand. So the sunnah is to do it with the right hand fingers. Yet it is permissible as well to do it on the left hand and on both. But the priority and the superiority, of course, is to follow exactly what the Prophet ﷺ used to do, which is using the right hand. He used to save his right hand to do things which are desirable, such as eating, drinking, shaking hands, and so on. And he would save the left hand to do things which are undesirable, such as cleaning up after urination, defecation, etc., picking up any dirty impurities and so on. He would use the left hand in this case.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, the brother had a second question. Now, he was speaking about mixed gathering. He's giving some advice to somebody, and his friend was saying to him, well, if this is the case, when men and women are not allowed to be in a mixed gathering, what about the woman when she goes out in the street? This is a very mixed environment. How do you go about answering this, Sheikh?
There is a big difference between a necessary mixing, where a woman goes out to offer the prayer in the masjid, which was even permissible during the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Furthermore, he said, "La tamna'u ima Allah al-masajid." So it is necessary for a woman to go out to attend the prayers in the masjid whenever it is necessary, and if she has a safe company and the road is safe, to go out to learn, to attend schooling, to acquire a degree, to go out to work whenever work is necessary and permissible, meanwhile, to go out to buy her needs in the markets. Muslim markets throughout the history have been always having both men and women, but with the proper hijab, while wearing the proper hijab. The unnecessary mingling is when we party, and women would go out to the party without wearing the proper hijab, and some would be wearing, and then men and women would get to meet, shake hands, and exchange unnecessary conversations. That's prohibited and prevented. So we have to make a clear difference between and distinction between al-ikhtilat, which is unnecessary, which you were trying to prevent your wife from, may Allah bless you, and the permissible one, which your friend is objecting to it and comparing this to this. There is no comparison whatsoever. So once again, it is permissible for a woman to go out to buy her needs, to go to school, to go to college, to acquire a degree, to go to work whenever the work is permissible, and to go to the masjid as well. But it's not necessary to attend a party which men and men are mingling together without necessary need.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, we have the first call of the day, Brother Marzouk from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Brother, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, please include us in your dua.
Inshallah I will. May Allah bless you and your family, all the viewers.
And my question is, it is our general intention that when a person dies during Ramadan, or say on 27th day or on Jummah, that he may enter paradise. Please comment on this.
طيب, inshallah.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Brother Marzouk there from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Okay, let's see if we can get through some of the other questions. Brother Adam, mashallah, a young viewer from the United Arab Emirates, asked the question which may need some clarification. Okay, zakat al-fitr or zakah generally is the purification of wealth, okay? Then he said, what's the barakah on the wealth? So could you please explain the Shaykh for him?
Well, Allah the Almighty explained in Surah At-Tawbah in a verse which explained to us the purpose and the wisdom behind the ordainment of giving alms and az-zakah. He says, Azza wa Jalla, خُذْ, meaning, O Muhammad, take. خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِّرُهُمْ وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ بِهَا وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ إِنَّ صَلَاتَكَ سَكَنٌ لَهُمْ. The verse means, O Muhammad, peace be upon him, take, command them to give sadaqah, the alms, the mandatory alms, out of their wealth, in order to purify them and sanctify them with it. So the Quran explains the sadaqah provides several benefits. Number one is it's a mean of purification for one's wealth and soul as well. And it's a mean of increase. As a matter of fact, in the Arabic language, the word zakah literally means az-ziyadatu wan-nama, an increase and growth. And some people might think we're talking here metaphorically, that if you give, Allah would bless you and so on. The increase is metaphorically, which is not true. It is both. Physically and metaphorically. Meaning, the Prophet ﷺ said in a sound hadith, ثَلَاثٌ أُقْسِمُ عَلَيْهِنْ. He says, I swear by Allah to the confirmation of three things. One of them, he said, مَا نَقَصَ مَالٌ مِّن صَدَقَةٍ. One's wealth would never decrease simply due to giving in a charity. Rather, it always increases. When the Prophet ﷺ slaughtered a sheep, and Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, distributed most of it. And she said to the Prophet ﷺ, there is nothing left except for the shoulder or the shank. The Prophet ﷺ corrected her and said, La ya Aisha, it's all been saved except for the shank, except for the shoulder, except for the part which we're going to eat. Whatever we gave in a charity, this is our saving. This is our investment. This is what will benefit us. But what we consume is what we eat and excrete, that's gone. So it's all been saved. مَا نَقَصَ مَالٌ مِّن صَدَقَةٍ. Simply, wealth would never decrease due to giving. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the believers and their traits in the Quran, says, وَالَّذِينَ فِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَقٌّ مَعْلُومٌ لِلسَّائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ. So you call the zakah is a right of the poor in your wealth. It does not belong to you. It is exactly as I like to resemble it to a malignant tumor in the body of a healthy person. But he has some malignant tumor. Well, you never get happy when you know that there's an increase in your weight, because this increase is due to a malignant cancer. So your best bet is to get rid of it as fast as you can. And the surgeon is not just going to eliminate the malignant part, but is going also to make sure that he would clean up the areas around. And that's why you make sure you take the rights of the poor out of your wealth as soon as it is due, and a little extra, so that you don't leave any doubts that maybe they have some right in your wealth. You get rid of it as soon as possible. The Prophet ﷺ warned us that those who do not give their zakah, and the zakat used in their wealth, will be deprived from the most important component of life, which is water. Al-ma' is a secret of life. He says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَمَا مَنَعَ قَوْمٌ زَكَاةَ أَمْوَالِهِمْ إِلَّا مُنِعُوا الْقَطْرِ. Al-qatr is rainwater. If any people stop paying the zakah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would withhold and would prevent the rain from falling down. They will die. They will experience calamities. And that's why in another hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, صَدَقَةُ السِّرِّ تُطْفِئُ غَضَبَ الرَّبِّ. The hadith is judged as has been judged as sahih by Imam al-Albani, may Allah have mercy on him, which means that given in a charity, particularly in secret, extinguishes and puts out Allah's anger and wrath. In another narration, another hadith, it informs us that the calamity or the musibah or the disaster is being decreed and it is descending from heaven to befall a certain person. So if this person gives in a charity, not only the zakah, the voluntary one, his zakah and his sadaqah, which is earned from lawful earning and been given in the proper way, is ascending to receive the proper reward. So they meet the calamity, the decree of the calamity, and the work which is righteous, the charity. يَتَعَالَجَانِ, and they compete and they fight, so that your charity would overcome the calamity and Allah would protect you from the calamity due to giving in a charity. That is the meaning of the physical increase and protection and purification for one's wealth and soul simply due to giving zakah. There is another very important thing which is worth of mentioning here also, which is what? When you give, you train yourself to be generous. And generosity would take you out of the pain of miserliness and stinginess. To be generous, a generous person would experience a peace of mind, a comfort for his eye, a relief for many physical and physiological diseases, because he's not cheap, he's not miser, he's a giving person. And on the other hand, it helps the poor. The Prophet ﷺ says, مثل المؤمنين في توادهم وتراحمهم وتعاطفهم كمثل الجسد الواحد. The similitude, the parable, the example of the believers concerning their love, compassion, and helping one another is like one single body. If any part is aching, the entire body is in pain until this part, pain is relieved. And he also said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. In a sound hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, none of you would truly believe, the perfect belief, unless he loves for his brothers exactly what he loves for himself. On the other hand also, it lowers the gaze of the poor, who's looking at you and your wealth with the look of jealousy. He's envying you. He loves your wealth and he wants to take it away from you. The people who've been deprived from such wealth and been deprived as well from your zakah. So they're not going to look at you with respect, rather they're going to envy you. So when you give in a charity, you would entertain these poor people, and rather they would pray for you instead of envying you.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, we have Sister Maryam on the line from Egypt. Sister, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I have two questions. One is that, alhamdulillah, after becoming Muslim, I've been trying my best to learn to read from the Arabic Quran. But I have one worry. I think that since I am trying my best, yes, but sometimes I miss out definitely some tajweed or some words and I don't say it properly. So I think maybe I take the noob if I don't say it right. That's my first question. And my second question is that after many years of Islam, maybe about 12 years, my mother told me that my father, the man that's been always in my life, didn't turn out to be my biological father. So that caused I wonder, is he still they are not Muslim, of course.
You mean that he is your biological father, but...
I don't know my biological father.
No.
Okay.
I thought that he was the one.
Okay.
I was much older when my mother told me so.
Okay.
And so I wonder, the relation that I should be having with him. Should I have to wear hijab, no hijab?
Okay.
And the same thing with his brothers, which are supposed to be my uncles. Because I have for one of them, I have a very good relation with them, alhamdulillah, till now. And I just don't know. I wear hijab. I also wear niqab, alhamdulillah. So I don't know the situation.
Okay.
How should I deal with them? Is it wrong or right? Or this is my question.
Okay.
Jazakallahu khair.
Barakallah fiki. Sister Maryam, that's from Egypt. Okay, I have Sister Shazi on the line from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Sister, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
I just wanted to know, for my dead father, what can I read Quran and just say that I'm reading it for him, and the reward should go for him. And also, I would like to know, from on 15th of Shaban, is it necessary that we have to how we read for Laylatul Qadr? We have to read the whole night, and it is like an Eid Like in India, I'm from India.
Okay.
So in India it is celebrated like that. So is it sunnah or is it bid'ah?
Okay.
Thank you.
Barakallah fiki. Okay, Sister Shazia there from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Okay, Sheikh. We've got another question here, mashallah, from Brother Abdul Rashid from India. Now, he's asking about janazah. Now, he was basically speaking about when they put the body into the grave, they face it towards the Qibla, but some people say, no, it should not be faced towards Qibla, the legs should be faced towards the Qibla. He wants some clarification on this. How do we bury our dead, ya Sheikh?
Actually, neither the head nor the legs will be towards the Qibla. I mean, it's not going to be perpendicular. It's going to be as follows. There are two ways to bury the Muslim deceased. There is one thing which is called ash-shiq. When you dig a trench in the middle of the grave, if the ground is kind of solid, if the ground is kind of sandy, so we dig a trench in the middle of the grave. Then it suits exactly the deceased. Then the deceased will be laid on his right side, and his right side will be facing the Qibla. So it's not the head and the feet. Many people think that sleeping towards the Qibla by putting your head towards the Qibla or your feet towards the Qibla. No, it means that your right side is facing the Qibla. So the right side, when you sleep or when the deceased is laid in his grave, is the whole side is facing the Qibla. The other way, which is al-lahad, when we dig a trench but in the side of the either side of the grave, and it is preferable the closest to the Qibla. This is whenever the soil or the ground is kind of solid, so that the grave would not collapse on the deceased. Both of them are permissible, but what's more recommended is what's known as al-lahd, because the Prophet ﷺ was buried this way, and Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, may Allah be pleased with him, at the time of his death, advised that he should be treated like the Prophet ﷺ was treated. He advised to be buried in al-lahd. So in al-lahd or in al-shiq, the deceased will be on his right side facing the Qibla.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay. Got a question here from Brother Muhammad from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. He said that he's had a urine infection for several years. He's been taking antibiotics, but to no effect. He said he bought some herbal medicine now. This herbal medicine contains approximately 32% alcohol. He takes this 3 to 4 times a day, 30 drops and so forth. He says, is he allowed to take this medicine, ya Sheikh?
There was a companion by the name Tariq ibn Suwaid, may Allah be pleased with him. He asked the Prophet ﷺ about al-khamr, alcohol. The Prophet ﷺ nahahu anha. He forbade him from manufacturing and making alcohol. He said, I only do it as a means of medicine. The Prophet ﷺ said, do not do it. It is never a treatment. Rather, it is a disease. So the scholar said, it is not permissible to mix the medicine with alcohol, with any percentage. But if it is already mixed and ready made in the market, and it is necessary for you to use it, we look at it. If the percentage is very small and insignificant, 5%, 10%, then you may use it. But if the percentage is very high, close to 50%, we say, we examine the medicine itself. If one drinks the whole bottle and he gets drunk, this is alcohol, whether you call it medicine or not, because of the great percentage of the alcohol inside this medicine. So you must avoid it. And we have seen people who are not being sick, they buy cough syrup and they drink it whole at once because it causes them to be drunk and get in a hallucinating mood. So it's called cough syrup. It's called cough syrup, yet it is alcohol. And the one who drinks it with this intention is drinking alcohol and violating one of the prohibitions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and jeopardizing the validity of his salah for 40 days. But now, if you check the entire market and there is no other alternative, and that is the only prescribed medication you need to try right now, you may drink it, you may take it, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive you for that if you cannot find any other alternative.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, we have Sister Shama'il from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Sister, you're live from Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
I'm Brother Shama'il.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, brother.
Dear brothers in Islam, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, this is regarding the Eid day.
Okay.
On the Eid day, what they do in our country, they receive grain. So what is the sunnah to do on the Eid day, whether to visit the graves of the dead person or any other procedure?
Okay.
And the second question is, some people in Dammam, Saudi Arabia, what they do is this Eid, the rice what we give, they collect this money, 10 riyals, and they send it to the country like India, Sri Lanka and all without giving on the place where we are fasting.
Yeah.
Is it acceptable, Sheikh, if you are sending it to our country where or
Okay.
it has to be given on the place where we are fasting?
Okay.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. Barakallah fiqh. It's Brother Shama'il from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Sorry about that, brother, for getting that wrong. Okay, Sheikh, we've got a question from Brother Muhammad Leenigon from his question about his urine infection. He says this infection, he says after he goes to the bathroom, he does clean himself and he leaves some time before salah, but sometimes urine does come out. He says, how do I go about now making the salah, Sheikh?
This is related to a case which is known in fiqh and in medicine as well as salasul bawl, where the person frequently goes to the bathroom, then afterward he cannot really control the process of urination, whether by releasing a drop of urine or more than that. And this is a chronic disease. So in this condition, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy for everyone to worship Him. As-salah requires tahara, a complete state of purification, the purification of the body, the purification of one's own clothes. If one experiences the release of a drop of urine after making wudu, this wudu will be valid to perform the current fard prayer and all the related nawafil, whether before or after. So one wudu will be valid for performing fard and its related nawafil before or after until the next prayer, with one condition, that you perform wudu after cleaning up from urination, after the adhan of the prayer itself, not before. So if you do the wudu before the adhan or before the prayer time is due, then you experience this drop of urine, then you've got to clean up yourself and your clothes, and afterward you make wudu after the adhan. If you do it after adhan, and you are already in the middle of the prayer, and you feel yourself, you released a drop or drops of urine, your prayer is still valid, because this is out of your control, and this is regularly happening, chronically, so you're allowed to pray the fard and the related nawafil. Then in the next fard, the next prayer, which is mandatory, you do one more wudu, and you clean up yourself, you do wudu, then you offer the fard and its related nawafil. Add to that, of course, when one releases the drop or drops of urine, that will contaminate his underclothes, so that need to be cleaned up and washed, as well as his private as well.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, we've got a question from Brother Abdul Rabb from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now he's asking about tilawa sajda. So basically you're reading the Quran now and you come to a point where you have to make sajda or you don't have to make sajda. We're going to go through that. And say you're watching this, say you're listening to the Quran in the car. How do you go about performing this?
There is a difference, a big difference between reciting an ayah which contains sajda and listening to a recitation of an ayah which contains sajda. If you recite an ayah which contains sajda, it is highly recommended, sunnatun mu'akkada, confirmed, to offer sujood tilawa. And whether you have wudu or not, the more right opinion, even without wudu, you should make sujood right away. And without taslim or anything, because it is not a form of salah, it is a sujood. It's called sujood tilawa, or sujood upon reciting a verse which contains sujood in it. But if you are listening to a reciter who recites an ayah, if the reciter is physically present and he makes sujood, then you follow him in making sujood, whether in the salah or outside the salah. But if the reciter is a CD player, you don't owe a sujood, because sujood tilawa is due whenever the reciter makes sujood, then the audience makes sujood. Or if you are the reciter himself or herself, then you make sujood on your own. But if the reciter is present and he did not make sujood, whether in the salah or outside the salah, then the audience do not do sujood as well.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, Brother Marzuka called us early on in this program, asked about the blessings of somebody who passes away within Ramadan on the 27th night in Jummah. He says this person enters paradise, or has heard the same. Any truth in this, Sheikh?
What really determines the fate of the individual is if he dies in a state of iman and if his deeds were righteous. The Prophet ﷺ says in one hadith, "Man abta'a bihi amalu, lam yusra' bihi nasabu." If one's good deeds weren't enough to take him to heaven and to give him salvation and to receive Allah's mercy, then no matter how close relation he has to the Prophet ﷺ or righteous people. It won't help. Even if he was the first cousin to the Prophet ﷺ, it won't help him. Similarly, if one dies on the 27th night, on the night of the Qadr, one dies in the day of Arafah, or on the day of Ashura, or on any blessed day, it won't help him unless if he is righteous. Yes, there is some indications that one of the signs of the good end of a righteous servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if he dies Thursday evening, which is the night that precedes Friday, we call it Laylatul Jumu'ah. That is a blessed night, because its day is a blessed day. So if one was righteous, died in a state of tahara, was praying and so on, or if he was fasting and he died that night, of course that's a good sign. Also furthermore, once the Prophet ﷺ was sitting and a funeral passed by, فَأَثْنَوْا عَلَيْهَا خَيْرًا. So the crowd praised the deceased, said, may Allah have mercy on him. He was so righteous, he was so generous, he was forgiven, he was, and so the Prophet ﷺ said, wajabat. Wajabat means that is true. Whatever you've said is right, and that is towards his credit. And a few minutes later, another janazah passed by. فَأَثْنَوْا عَلَيْهَا شَرًّا. So the companions who were sitting with the Prophet ﷺ dispraised the deceased in this funeral. So the Prophet ﷺ once again said, wajabat. Likewise, they said, Ya Rasulullah, what's wajabat? He said, the first janazah, when you praised it, that's an indication that he's worthy of what you said, because you guys agreed to that. Mm-hmm. Your praise was not out of the space. He was praiseworthy, and that's why you praised him. And the other guy was dispraiseworthy, and that's why you dispraised him. فَتِلْكَ عَاجُلُ بُشْرَ الْمُؤْمِنِ. When one dies in a good night, in a blessed night, in a state of tahara, he was praying, like many shuyukh died in a state of sujood, many righteous people died in a state of salah, or was fasting, or while performing hajj. The Prophet ﷺ, when one fell off the back of his camel while was doing hajj and in a state of ihram, said, do not cover his face nor head. اغسلوه بماء وسدر. And in his ihram, because on the day of judgment he will be resurrected in a state of talbiyah. He will be resurrected and brought back to life while saying, لبيك اللهم لبيك. What a kind of death. This is a very pleasant state of death. So we witness to the person based on the consequences, based on the circumstances, not just based on the moment he died, and regardless of his past. If one was righteous and died in a good, blessed moment, hopefully, inshallah, that's a glad tiding for him.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Okay, we have Sister Samiha from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Sister, you're live in Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, my daughter is less than 2 years old, and she is suffering from Bell's palsy since first of Ramadan.
May Allah cure her. أسأل الله العظيم رب العرش العظيم أن يشفيها. I ask Allah the Great to cure her.
Some dua or some recitations I can do for her.
May Allah cure her. May Allah give her shifa, an immediate cure, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, sister.
And I would like to know the answer in this session, if it is possible.
Inshallah. Jazakallah, sister. Sister Samiha from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Okay, we have Brother Khan from Kuwait. Brother, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm actually a sports teacher, and I have a colleague who's actually following the Islam rules. I just want to know that giving coaching to females, is this allowed in Islam? And if it's not, please can you guide me? And please remember me in your prayers that Allah guide me and all the Muslims. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah, brother. Okay, that's Brother Khan from Kuwait. Okay, we're going to take a short break and inshallah return in a couple of minutes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ramadan is here, increase your iman. Ramadan is here, recite the Quran.
The Philosophy of Islamic Law, a program for restoring believe and trust within Muslims' mind and heart, and for re-establishing a true concept about Islamic rules for others.
Ramadan is here, increase your iman. Ramadan is here, recite the Quran.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Ramadan Fatawa. Let me just remind you of our telephone numbers. The country code is 202, then it's 3, then it's 8555, then 248 or 249. I'll remind you of our email address again. It's ask@huda.tv. It should just come on your screens. Okay, do call us quickly because I think we're going to run out of time and so many people are waiting, so please do call in early. She's got a question from Sister Miriam from Egypt. MashaAllah, she says she's been a revert for some years now. She's been trying to learn the Quran, trying to read the Quran, but she says she has difficulty. Sometimes she makes mistakes in tajweed or she misses some letters and makes mistakes. Now, she wants to know, is there a punishment for this because she feels there's a punishment and she's trying quite hard to learn the Quran, Ya Shaykh.
Well, I ask Allah in the beginning to keep you steadfast and give you strength in Iman, and may Allah reward for your effort. Maybe I have some good news for you to deliver, and to every beginner who is not an Arabic speaker, that the Prophet ﷺ says that the person who recites the Quran, وَيَتَتَعْتَعُ فِيهِ, and even the words tells you that he is stuttering. It's difficult because his mother tongue is not Arabic. له أجران. So if Sheikh Muhammad is reciting fluently, and somebody else is a beginner and is reciting with difficulty, he receives double reward. Double the reward of a person who recites fluently. Of course, you should not take advantage of that and say, well, I would keep just reciting with stuttering, because by the time you keep stuttering, I would have finished the entire Quran recitation. But the Prophet ﷺ means no one will be deprived from the reward of reciting the Quran. As a matter of fact, those who find it difficult upon themselves to learn and recite, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will double the reward for them. This is number one. Second, if you are residing in Egypt, please take my phone number. Maybe I can help you with somebody who would assist you even over the phone to improve your recitation and learn tajweed and so on. As far as the mistakes, they vary from major mistakes to minor mistakes. Major mistakes which change the meaning, of course, should be avoided. Minor mistakes, even the Arab people and those who recite the Quran fluently sometimes commit mistakes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pardons that. As far as the second part of your question, which is your father who would now be considered as your stepfather.
Okay, can I just quickly repeat this question for the viewers then? So the second question sister said was she's been, mashallah, Muslim for 12 years. She said she just found out from her mother, okay, that her father wasn't her biological father. So all the uncles that she's been having, she says she's quite close to one of the uncles. They're not close to her anymore. How does she go about in terms of wearing hijab and so forth, Sheikh?
Well, as far as this person who's not actually your biological father, and he's already married to your mother, and for years he raised you and you were under the impression that he's your father, but later on you figured out that he's not. He's still considered as unlawful for you as far as marriage, and because of that, he's considered to be your male mahram as well. You don't have to wear the hijab before him. Why? Because the ayah which contained the list of the muharramat min al-nisa says, وَرَبَائِبُكُمُ اللَّاتِي فِي حُجُورِكُم مِّن نِّسَائِكُمُ اللَّاتِي دَخَلْتُم بِهِنَّ فَإِن لَّمْ تَكُونُوا دَخَلْتُم بِهِنَّ فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْكُمْ. Meaning, if somebody marries a woman and he already consummated the marriage, there is a state of dukhul, then her daughter becomes unlawful for him to marry, even if, God forbid, afterward he divorces her mother, or if she dies, this girl becomes exactly like his own daughter. So he's not allowed to marry her. And if it's not permissible for him to marry you under any circumstances permanently, that means he fits to be your male mahram, even though he is not Muslim yet. And I would advise you still to keep good relations with them. Because in the state of kufr, unfortunately, in the name of whether Christianity or any other religion, people have changed tremendously, have changed the teachings and the commandments of their religion. So they allowed men and women to have illegal, illicit relationships outside marriage. in the name of boyfriend and girlfriend, in the name of love, as long as we like one another. This is all false and fake, and such relationship is considered as adultery in Islam, in Judaism, in Christianity, in any other faith or religion. It was prohibited, and it is prohibited still in any religion. And that's why people who altered the religions and the teachings and the constitution of the religion shall receive the severest and the worst punishment on the day of resurrection. May Allah guide them to Islam, and once a person accepts Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives them all their past and previous sins, no matter how great, how severe they were. Not only that, while their good deeds will be maintained as they are, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward them for their good deeds, which they were done during the state of disbelief. One more thing, a son or daughter who is a birth as a result of illegal relationship does not bear any sin whatsoever, is not responsible for any mistake that was committed by his biological parents, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. No bearer of a sin shall bear the sin of another. It is the parents who have committed the sin, and the children do not bear any responsibility whatsoever. They will be only responsible for what they do, whether good or bad.
Jazakallah khair. So the answer to the question about the uncle is that he's...
No, the uncle is different.
Yes.
The uncle now is not considered as a male mahram.
So that's...
Only the father is considered as a mahram.
Jazakallah khair. Now, Sheikh, you know that they say that the name Muhammad is one of the most widely spread names. Well, here's the evidence. I've got two Muhammads from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Muhammad number one, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yeah, the first question I was from the zakat. I get what I understand from your program is that I have to give 2% on everything what I own. Like if I have money, I have to give 2% on that. Even if I own the car, I have to give 2% on that one. And another question is for the bathing.
You said you understood that from our program?
Okay, we'll go through that
No,
inshallah.
I mean another question for the bathing.
Okay.
So what are the mandatory conditions? If it is mandatory, even if there is a drop of sponge like that. And for the medical test, what I appeared last time during the fasting.
Sorry, the second. Could you clarify the second question, please, brother?
So for the bathing condition, I need like mandatory questions, like what are the things to be done for bathing. So even if there is a drop of sponge from the that I have to confirm like bathing there. And another one for the medical test. Last time I appeared for the medical test. In that, they poked the syringe in and they took some 10 ml blood from me. So is it okay for me for fasting or it will break?
Okay.
Okay, Jazakallah, brother. It's Brother Muhammad from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and here's Brother Muhammad also from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Brother, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please. Brother Muhammad? Okay, I think we lost the second Brother Muhammad there. Okay, but if you do call back in, brother, we'll put you through straight away. Okay, Sheikh, Sister Shazia from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia asked about her father who's passed away. May Allah have mercy on him. She says, what can I do in terms of reading Quran? Can I read Quran for him, Sheikh?
Recite the Quran and you receive the reward of each recitation for your own self. Then after reciting the Quran, pray for him. Invoke Allah to send His mercy and forgiveness to him. In the prayer, in the state of sujood, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cover him with mercy, to admit him to His paradise. At the time of breaking your fast, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So basically, the cornerstone of that is making dua after reciting the Quran, or upon breaking your fast, or in the sujood, or after finishing the salah, before taslim. You can do that in the state of Hajj as well. But as far as reciting the Quran itself and giving the reward of its recitation to anybody else, I could not find any reference to that.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, we've got the second Muhammad back from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Brother, you're live in Ramadan Fatawa. Let's see if we can get through to you now.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Thank you for your answer, sir, for this urination, sir.
No problem.
I have some doubt, sir. Let me read. I have bottle in my hand. This is 50 ml bottle, and it is written 30 to 50 drops 3 to 4 times daily in 1 glass of water.
Okay.
And alcohol content is 27 to 32%. So I will not take this as a whole, sir. I will mix this 30 to 50 drops in 1 glass of water, and then I will drink it. So is it permissible or not? Because I took 2.5 months almost antibiotic and of no use, no effect. So now I am just doubt side effects and all this. So I went for this.
With the same prescription you just mentioned, Brother Muhammad, and if it is the only available medicine right now, take it and may Allah cure you immediately.
No, I cannot say it's the only, maybe available in the market, but this is herbal medicine, sir.
Okay.
Once again, if it is the only available medicine as far as herbal or pharmacological, if there is an alternative, it is best to take the medicine which does not have any traces of alcohol. By the way, even in those nowadays, there is a trend that where pharmaceutical companies are into producing alcohol-free medicine, which is very useful from various points of view. So that's why try to look for one which is alcohol-free. I'm not saying the percentage really matter, but I'm saying if it is the only available medicine, then may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cure you and forgive you for that. But if there is an alternative, then you should take the alternative.
Jazakallah, Brother Muhammad there from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Okay, we have Sister Amina on the line from Nigeria. Sister, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please. Sister Amina, are you with us? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam.
Yes, we can hear you, Sister.
I have two questions.
Okay.
My first question is about gold.
Okay. Sister, you've got to turn down the television set because we're getting some interference there.
For female and necklaces.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I think we've lost the sister there. Just a brief note to any of our viewers, please, if you do call, do turn the television set down because it delays everything and we've got people still waiting. Okay. Sheikh, we had a question from Brother Shama'il from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. What do we do on Eid? What's the sunnah to do on Eid, Sheikh? And the reason I'm asking this is because he said some people go to graves on the day of Eid and do other acts. He says, what should we do on this glorious day, Sheikh?
Okay, in the beginning I would like to tell you, Brother Shama'il, that your name means good traits. So may Allah make you acquire and maintain the good traits. As far as the Eid day and the Sunan during the Eid day, I think we have presented a whole show which will be rerun several times concerning the etiquette of Eid. But briefly, on the Eid day, this is a Eid of delight, of joy and happiness. We should not go to the Musalla before breaking our fast on a few dates or any other thing to announce and declare that today we're not fasting. Yesterday fasting was mandatory, today fasting is prohibited. You put on your nicest and cleanest clothes. If you have a new outfit, a new set, it's best to wear it while going for Salatul Eid. Everybody should go out to witness the Salah, even women during their menses who are not going to be praying, because we pray according to the Sunnah in plain, in open areas, in the stadiums or the fields, to encompass the greatest number of Muslims so that we get to meet one another. People who have not met for the entire year, now they have the chance to meet today. Congratulate one another with the greeting, تَقَبَّلَ اللَّهُ مِنَّا وَمِنكُم, may Allah accept from you and from us. Exchange gifts on that day. So it's a day of delight, joy and happiness. It is never a day of sadness and sorrow. So why people have changed? And why people, they would make a point to visit the graveyard and visit their beloved who have died years ago on that particular day, where they shed tears and cry and spread sorrow and sadness in the entire family. This is not of the Sunnah. As a matter of fact, this is totally against the Sunnah, and it's not recommended to visit the graveyard on that day for this reason.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, I did miss a question from Sister Shazia. She did ask about the 15th of Sha'ban, and she said, is this the same as the 27th night in Ramadan or Laylatul Qadr? If you're searching for it, do you stay up all night, read Quran and so forth?
This is a good catch on those who say that there is a very special deal concerning the middle of Sha'ban and we have to pray all night, because this is a night on which Allah decrees all the commandments and the ordainments. We say that statement, relying on no hadith and no verse whatsoever, contradicts with the clear revelation in the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ لَيْلَةُ الْقَدْرِ خَيْرٌ مِّنْ أَلْفِ شَهْرٍ تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالرُّوحُ فِيهَا بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ مِنْ كُلِّ أَمْرٍ. Meaning, al-malaika and ar-ruh Jibreel alayhi salam would come down from heaven to our world with each command and ordainment for the next year. So this night is the night of Al-Qadr, is the night of the decree, is the night in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands His angels to execute the plans of the next year throughout the year on this night. They receive the teachings and the decrees on this night. So it is not in the middle of Sha'ban. The Sunnah and the Quran encourage us to stand up in prayer and make dhikr throughout the entire night of Laylatul Qadr. And it's night, it has been concealed so that people would strive their utmost throughout the last 10 nights of Ramadan, trying to seek the night of the power or Laylatul Qadr. The Prophet ﷺ said, seek it in the odd nights, the 21st, the 23rd, the 27th, the 25th, the 27th, and the 29th night of Ramadan. And in another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, seek it in لتسع بقين, لسبع بقين, لخمس بقين, indicating that if the month happened to be only 29 days, that means تسع بقين, there is only 9 nights remaining. So the night will be actually the 20th, or the 22nd, or the 24th, or the 26th, which is an even night, not an odd. That indicates it is best for the Muslim to seek the Laylatul Qadr, or the night of the power, throughout the last 10 nights of Ramadan. And since it has been only a few nights and days remaining, we should strive our utmost, hoping that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless us to meet Laylatul Qadr while we're lining up our hearts and feet before Him in prayer. The Prophet ﷺ answered a question of Aisha when she said, what, Ya Rasulullah, if I realize that it is Laylatul Qadr, what should I say? He said, invoke Allah as saying, Allahumma innaka afuun karimun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, the last caller of the day, Sister Layla from the United Arab Emirates. Sister, you're live on Ramadan Fatawa. Your question, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm coming from India.
Okay.
In our place, we learn Arabic only to read and write without understanding the meaning. Okay?
Yes.
But we read the meaning separately. Okay?
Okay.
So in this case, as the prayers is acceptable. And second question, and so many people are preaching Islam these days, and they are having very confusing, each one says contradictory to others. So we don't know what to do in this case.
Fine.
And third question
is
when the gents go for prayer, when they are going wearing that shirt having some emblem or something like that, crocodile or Lacoste, like that they wear, is it allowed while praying?
Okay, Jazakallah khair.
That's the 3 questions I want.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Sister Layla there from the United Arab Emirates. Well, we've run out of time actually, Sheikh. I can't give you another question, so we run out. Jazakallah khair for all your answers today. That's all the time we have for you today. Please, like I said before, we do try to get as many people's questions as possible, but please do call in early. Well, until next time, I'll leave you with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam.
The month we love best. Even if there's hunger, remember your Lord and wait until iftar to earn your reward. Fasting is one of the gifts of Allah, given to believers to increase taqwa. Ramadan is here, increase your iman. Ramadan is here, recite the Quran. We pray to Allah to put right our hearts, ask for forgiveness and make a new start. Raising our hands we ask for His rahmah, hear us our Lord and grant us Jannah. Ramadan is here, the month that is blessed. Ramadan is here, the month we love best. Ramadan Fatawa.